Welcome to this episode of the Finding My Line podcast, where I interviewed Christopher Werner, director of the short film The Sacrifice, now on YouTube, starring Josh Radnor and Aya Cash. There we go. Perfect.
Thank you for checking.
Yeah, just made sure I double check every time.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you again for coming on. And
my pleasure.
getting
Yeah,
back
thank you
so
for having
quick
me.
when I had emailed as well.
My pleasure. Yeah, why not? I'm always happy to talk about my film or whatever opportunity comes up to talk about that or anything else. People are, your email was really well written, kind, and short, which is
Yeah.
helpful. Sometimes people write very long emails, and it's like I would love to read every long email I get. I just don't always have
Yeah.
time. So
I
that was
always try to make
also
it
good on you
like
for keeping it short and sweet. You got in, you got out.
I try to keep it so you can read it in 30 seconds and make that decision there.
I love it, and I did. Here we are.
Perfect. Sweet. So I guess we'll get started then.
Great.
The first question I always like to ask is, where did you get your start, even before the short film we'll talk about later?
Sure. Where did I get my start? So I guess my first real kind of job in TV and in this industry was for a true crime show called On the Case with Paul Azan, which maybe is still on the air, maybe isn't. It was on the Investigation Discovery Network.
Okay.
And I started as a PA, but also by the time I left, I was like filming the crime reenactments and it was just like a two-person team, really small. And someone I worked with at that show started working on this show that was about to come out called Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and they needed some people. And I went over there, and I was the beneficiary of getting in on what turned out to be a great show, which you never know when you're starting anything if it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky about that, and very lucky that it was a startup in a sense. It was the first season of a show, so I was able to kind of just wear as many hats as possible, and they were really wonderful and trusting, and so I was able to become a producer there and a director there, and was there for 8.5 years. Left, made The Sacrifice, my short film, and
Mhm.
then for the past couple of years, I've been directing shorts at Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's sweet. So you did The Sacrifice before you went to Saturday Night Live?
I did actually. I
Okay.
did that. The Sacrifice was shot during the last strike. So the strike that happened
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. Um, so we shot The Sacrifice, and then it was the summer after the strike. So only a couple months later, I got a call to go to SNL. So it happened very quickly, and I was thankful. I don't think I would have had time in my schedule to produce and plan The Sacrifice if I was at
SNL.
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
kind of
because
all
that's
worked out
a
perfectly.
pretty hefty job there.
It's not nothing. Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, how did how's like your uh transition from doing like Saturday Night Live and Late Night with John Oliver? How did that transition into a short film?
I think it helped tremendously. I mean, essentially working at those shows, whether you're making a sketch
Mhm.
at John Oliver or sketch at Saturday Night Live, they are essentially a short film. You are trying to tell a story that tracks and makes sense, that has a logical turn and reveal and a surprise and unexpected ending. And it's the same tenets of storytelling apply, and especially like visual storytelling and film, language.
Yeah.
So I think and plus because I produced and directed at John Oliver, um, it gave me it gives you a lot of experience on how to do things intelligently, how to make things look a lot bigger or more expensive than they are. The Sacrifice, we shot it in 2 days.
Oh wow.
And it's got a lot in it. And so I think like I wouldn't have been able to shoot that movie in 2 days if I didn't have the experience I had working on kind of short form already. So I know what I need, I know what I don't,
Mhm.
which is important. But also just kind of the experience of having to shoot a lot in a little amount of time. Every SNL shoot is one day. John Oliver shoots were one day. So you're trying to make something that looks like a movie or looks huge, but you only have one day.
Yeah.
So I think all that experience kind of I was able to funnel into the sacrifice and
Mhm.
even my AD was like, this is not going to be 2 days. But I felt really confident that we can make it work. And, all credit to Josh and Aya, who,
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
if they're not down for the kind of pace, which is essentially um, 2/3 of the script was shot on the first day. It's essentially
Wow.
10 pages of dialogue was shot on the first day. So it's a lot for
Mm.
two actors who are doing a short film. This is not, I would say we didn't have like the size of crew or scale of, what they're typically used to or
Yeah.
time
Definitely.
or anything. So for them to be willing to not only kind of come around and play around with us and make this movie, but also that's a lot of work we're asking them to do. It's not like it's just a simple 2-day thing. It's an actor's job is acting on screen, and that first day, like they worked. That's like nose
Especially,
to the ground, like hard work to
oh
get
yeah.
through all that dialogue. Especially, Josh has some long monologues in that
Yes, he does.
in the movie, and they were really unbelievable. So it was really just kind of a perfect storm of the perfect actors, and then having that experience. Then I was able to bring my crew. Most of the crew on that movie was from John Oliver,
Okay.
people
Yeah.
I'd worked with. I never would have been able to get them. They're all very busy and talented and wonderful. But the strikes helped a little bit, and since we were doing everything the right way with SAG's approval and everything, it made it a little easier to convince people to come on board. And,
Yeah.
so we were able to punch above our weight too. I had a level of crew that most people wouldn't be able to have on a short film. It's unfair and ridiculous, and I don't deserve it. And I'm so thankful to all of them. And
Yeah.
the movie is, if you like the movie, it is because of them. If you don't like it, it's because of me. But if you like it, it's because of them.
I I love the visual style of it, especially near the end when
Thank
you're
you.
doing the like the almost the picture recreations where you do
Yeah,
famous
yeah.
paintings. Those were beautiful.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Those were kind of a late addition and it was a huge production challenge and definitely something that had we lost those from our plan, I think would have made our shoot a lot easier. But
Hmm.
to me, they're also the I love how they look, obviously, but I
Hmm.
think they're the real emotional crux of the movie. I think it's hard in short films when you want to tell a kind of classic 3-act story
Yeah.
to make sure that the emotion lands, and it's hard to build up enough character development to make sure that you can understand what a moment means to them.
Hmm.
And so it felt to me totally necessary to have these moments of massive impact that kind of visualize and internalize these feelings of like grandeur, like sinful grandeur, but happiness that they're having as their relationship grows closer, really. Because at the end of the day, it's really just a love story about a couple in a long-term relationship instead of like a love story about a new couple or a story about a long-term relationship falling apart.
Hmm.
My writer and I were much more interested in the vast majority of relationships, which are long-term, are
Hmm.
very good, but have unexpected moments which can go either way. Either they put you a little bit farther apart or they bring you a little bit farther together. And it's the kind of amalgamation of all those moments that add up to what your relationship is in the end. If you have more of the moments that bring you together than pull you apart, you're going to be okay.
Hmm.
And I think this isn't like a movie where she's going to divorce him or everything, their whole relationship is up in the air. It's just like sometimes your partner gets a weird hobby and you're like,
Yeah.
damn. Like I play table tennis. I'm sure my wife isn't like stoked to tell people like, oh no, Chris is playing table tennis right now. He can't join us. You know what I mean? It's like she just has to
Yeah.
live with that I like I own my own table tennis stuff.
Hmm.
It's like when we met, I wasn't in table tennis. She didn't know that about me. So she had to accept that about me. Now she has to hear me like talk about it. It's like she doesn't care about table tennis. She's never going to care about it. But part of a relationship is just like deciding to care a little bit about something. And
Yeah.
then the joy that brings your partner becomes impossible to kind of articulate. And so,
Hmm.
especially in 15 minutes, so I thought you kind of needed those visual punches to
Absolutely.
give the movie the scale that you kind of can't otherwise.
Hmm. And it's also very much like a horror comedy at that aspect.
Definitely. I think if you go into it, I'd say I maybe it's a comedy horror. I've been saying horror comedy, but I've
Okay.
been like
Maybe it's the
maybe
other way
I've been
around.
mislabeling it. Because I feel like if you go in expecting a horror movie, you might be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you go in expecting a comedy, I think you'll be pleasantly freaked or just on edge or I don't know, uncomfortable or uneasy.
Mhm.
Um, I think I think it's interesting because it would have been a lot easier to delve into more horror territory,
Mhm.
obviously talking about satanic rituals and Baphomet. And it also would have been easier to go sillier. Like the end of the film could have gone a lot sillier and had
Yeah.
everybody like dressed like accountants and talking about like their taxes, which I think is definitely a way to go.
Yeah.
That to me maybe is like how the sketch comedy version of it goes, not like the narrative film version, because it's like
Mhm.
that's not about these two people falling in love. So it kind of needs to, if you're gonna, we show how lame this satanic cult is for the beginning of the movie. I did feel like it was a little important to show, like, yeah, it is mostly stupid, but they do still worship a demon. They
Yeah.
do still worship a demon, and if that demon was real, this is kind of how it would feel as you're starting to summon them and praise them. And you kind of need to buy into that a little bit because that is also kind of concurrently like the story of their love growing and all that
Yeah.
artsy fartsy nonsense that was only kind of interesting.
And getting actors that have worked a majority in comedy as well definitely helped there too.
Definitely. Comedy's really hard.
Mhm.
Comedy's so hard. And chemistry's hard. And
Yeah.
chemistry, the, what I think is even harder than like flirtatious chemistry, because I think you can kind of fantasize about that a little bit easier. And I'm not an actor, so I'm sure an actor can correct me and I sound like an idiot. But I would say chemistry of a long-term relationship is really hard. A long-term relationship that I was after, which isn't terrible.
Mhm.
It's good. It's good. They're happy. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
Exactly.
It's really good. They've been together for probably 12 years, married for 10.
Mhm.
Don't have kids, but it's fine. They're like career first, but like they
Yeah.
like each other's company. They sit outside, they do the crossword. It's all chill. And I think that was chemistry that was really hard. And Josh and I had been in a movie together about 10 years
Okay.
before, and they played a couple who was separating. But what was funny is when I was watching it, I was like, my God, their chemistry is so good. Like
Mhm.
the people that their characters are like cheating on each other with, the chemistry they have with them isn't nearly as good as the chemistry they have with each other, which is funny because the movie has them separating.
Mhm.
And so that was kind of stuck in my mind when I was talking to Josh initially, who we cast first, and when he brought up Aya, it was just like an immediate like, you've got to be kidding me, like
That's
it
like,
would be perfect if she'd be
yeah.
willing to do it because the to get people to buy into the movie, if you're going to buy into the idea at all and not turn it off after 2 minutes and be like, why is she even entertaining this idiot?
Mhm.
Is if you just believe that like there's enough history over time,
Yeah.
and ultimately long-term relationships, like even in differences, it's like most people in them are closer together on things than farther apart.
Mhm.
Even if initially there's hesitance, it's like usually you find if you're with the right person, I think, or whatever, you'll be closer together than farther apart. So it was like important. Aya has like kind of a thankless role in the movie, and that she doesn't have as much dialogue. She's mostly reactionary and she's mostly contrarian to who essentially the audience identifies as the protagonist. So you're like setting her up to be like a miserable character and like kind of a cliche female character, which
Yeah.
obviously we did not want. And we tried to be as mindful of it as possible. And I felt like what Aya brought to it kind of just like it elevated it in a way I couldn't have anticipated, and
Yeah.
she was able to bring all those things I wanted and then some. And she was able to bring more of an edge to it than I would have expected, that I would have been maybe too fearful to add because of that concern. But she's just so good at it that it's just how do you resist? I mean, she's like a real true artist in
Oh yeah.
every like form of that phrase, I would say, while
Yeah.
being like so completely and totally normal at the same time.
Yeah. And both, if I'm not mistaken, both of them are writers as well.
Definitely. I mean, and Josh, a director. I mean, there's an
Yeah, Josh
intimidation.
directed
Josh
it.
has
Yeah.
written and directed films and films that I think are very good and
Oh yeah,
very
me too.
poignant and very
Absolutely.
intelligent. Um, there was a lot of pressure with Josh because I didn't, he knows what he's doing, but to
Yeah.
his credit, he is a director's actor in the sense that like
Yeah.
this was not the movie he was directing. He's
Yeah.
not trying to direct it. he's not coming on set with that like part of his brain turned on, or if he is, he's hiding it from me at
Yeah.
least. But like there was never a moment where he wasn't just being a director's actor, which
Mm.
is such a dream come true, and like really, I think took all that concern away. Like very first take, very first day, very first
Yeah.
setup was just like, oh, he's just here for me. He doesn't care. He's not asking to look at the frame or asking why I'm thinking this blocking. He's just like, you want me there? Great,
And this
perfect.
was so you said it was between John Oliver and SNL, and it was kind of a
Yes,
you and Ryan, the writer, bo
correct.
both transitioned to SNL, or
No, but we worked
it was
together at
on
Last Week Tonight. He's
yeah.
still at Last Week Tonight. He is
Okay.
an unbelievable editor,
Yeah.
my dear, dear friend, one of the great people I'll ever meet in my life.
Mhm.
Um, and yes, we met together working at John Oliver. We both started season one, and we were kind of like quick friends and enemies. We argued a lot as like creatives, but in like one of the healthiest creative relationships I've ever had. I truly mean it.
Yeah.
Um, and he wrote this, gosh, maybe our third season on the show. He sent me the first version of the script. I mean, so long ago, we never talked about it again. And as soon as I left, I was like, what about that sacrifice thing you
Yeah.
have? What about that script? Like, there's something about it. And his first version of it was much shorter and much, I hope he's not offended when he hears this, a little bit more sketch comedy. It did
Okay.
kind
Yeah.
of just end as a really good, funny joke,
Mhm.
but it just kind of just ended at like a quick montage of like, went to credits. It was
Mhm.
through our conversations that I remember an early conversation about like how it feels when your partner gets interested in one of your hobbies.
Yeah.
Like instead of faking interest, like actually, like you come home one day and they're doing the thing you love, and you're like, wait a minute, this is
When did you
amazing.
get into this?
Right, exactly. Like you weren't lying to me when you said you liked this, or you weren't just like entertaining my bullshit.
Yeah.
So I think that seed of a conversation kind of eventually materialized into this idea of like of examining long-term relationships, but a thing that isn't like also not interesting enough to examine in a feature. Like people's like
Yeah.
couples, those little road bumps and speed bumps in a long-term relationship is not feature territory. Like I
Mhm.
would never adapt this to a feature with this as the core idea because it would be horror. Because it's like this to me is exactly why short films were created, because this is a story that is perfectly suited for a short film.
Mhm.
I can tell the entire three acts of it in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Probably could have done it shorter. I just didn't want to. And then I think, it really is just about a something that is interesting to me, and I think will be interesting to people in long term relationships. At least the themes of the movie,
Yeah.
but aren't enough to carry a 2 hour film because you'd
Mhm.
need a lot more drama, a lot more stakes. And that to me wasn't the story I was interested in telling. There are stories like that, and people have done them better and will do them better. And maybe one day I'll have a story like that to tell, but I
Yeah.
can't think of a way to tell a story about like a crumbling relationship better than ways I've seen it. But I
Mhm.
can think of a way to tell a story about just a weird bump in the road when just some weird shit happens between you and your partner, and you're like, huh, I guess we just do this now because this is just a thing we do. And then it just becomes normal. It just becomes a part of your life and a part of
Mhm.
who you are. And I wanted to make sure that if I was going to put my own money, because I funded the film and time and energy and asked people to put theirs in, I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure it was something that wasn't just worth it, but was like, this can only be done this way in my
Mhm.
mind. This is the one way it can be done. So
Absolutely.
it wouldn't be an interesting book. I don't think it would make a good video game. I don't think it would make a great like painting. I
Mhm.
think it would make like a very good short film. And
Yeah.
so that's what I would like to.
Yeah, and that
And
absolutely
then, some people think so, some people don't, and that's okay.
and that absolutely came off that way in the short
Thank you
film.
so much.
It's just full of heart.
I do, you know what? I initially wanted to call it The Sacrifice, a love story, but I also felt like there's nothing douchier than a short film having like such a long title. It's like, all right, everybody relax. It's just
Yeah.
called The Sacrifice and get on with it.
And you
But
can tell that everybody
yeah.
just was there to have fun.
It really was. It was an incredibly fun time.
Yeah.
It really was. It was a really wonderful, amazing time. Only 2 days though,
Yeah.
so it was really only 2 days, and then like a very long edit. I mean, we took a lot of time. And then we had music composed for the film, and there's two very different styles of music in the movie. For
There is.
those who have seen it, there's like very aggressive, kind of like annoying, intentionally like metal, and then this very kind of euphoric, angelic choral music. And so we had kind of two separate composers. We wanted to make sure and we wanted them to kind of play in their own world and keep these things a little separate.
Yeah.
I didn't want there to be thematic similarities between the pieces of music because these kind of turns are harsh and these feelings are harsh and these moments, like when something hits you, a moment of like ecstasy or euphoria or joy, you don't know it's coming. It's
Yeah.
not, you don't expect it, you just get hit with it. And that was kind of the feeling I wanted to make sure we were able to emulate. So
Hmm.
having these kind of separate scores and finding that the music took a really long time, and I have to incredible shout out to Aaron and David, our two composers, who again just continued to punch above our weight with the talent we had.
Yeah.
And every time I watch the movie and we hear our first kind of transition into that choral music, I still love it every single time.
Oh yeah. The music definitely helps the whole feeling, especially with the quick change partway through, with Aya's character just fully accepting it.
She's just all in, man.
Just
Look,
all in all of a
well,
sudden.
if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna cut the goat's head off, you might at that point you're in.
I think
Spoiler.
that was one of the best parts where she brings up the idea of how pricey the goat is.
That's all Ryan. That, to be fair, I feel like that scene is maybe the one scene that I don't think we ever touched. I don't think we ever rewrote that scene from like his first draft,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit, but the Amazon Prime thing I think was in his first draft. Everything was just there. It was like he always had that moment
Yeah.
nailed of the turn. And I'd say like that was maybe something I always came back to, was like, and I wanted to make sure I justified the moments building up to that kind of coming out of it because I knew that it worked.
Mhm.
Um, and I also wanted to justify, we come out of a risky for a short film, 2.5 minute quiet, silent scene of somebody on a computer screen, which every human being says is the biggest mistake you can make.
Yeah.
And I would typically agree, but every single time we tried to like cut it down or add music or add whatever, it sucked.
Hmm.
And consistently at every film festival screening, that was the best. That scene got the most laughs and like the biggest reaction.
Yeah.
But it also felt like to like pay that silence off. To, you need a quiet moment between characters, but you need to start getting out of reality a little bit.
Hmm.
We start planting the seed in that scene, but you got to start building up to your getting out of bounds
Yeah.
because you can make a lot of harsh turns, but you got to give a little bit to adjust. And then like her character is doing, and
Hmm.
then they don't hate her when she cuts off the goat's head. Hopefully.
And that who did you have as a prop master for that? Because that still looked
Oh
pretty
my
good.
God. We had this great guy, Steve Shada, who made the goat head for us. He found it was a taxidermied goat head that he worked on and manipulated a little bit. And then one of our incredible art directors, Katie Akana, finished kind of like cleaning it up and making
Yeah.
it ready. But we basically cast our goat and then like ahead of time we tried to get as ahead of that as possible
Mhm.
so that we could then try to find a taxidermied head that was as close as possible.
Yeah.
And we worked with we wanted to make sure we like got the no animals were harmed thing, and like we made sure that we did everything like as above board as possible so that everybody knew that the goat was very happy. The goat had a very chill
Yeah.
day, very chill, and was never harmed or even close, and it was great. um and it was cool having a goat on set. I mean, yeah, there was everything about this was stupid for a short film. Like all the like the painting tableaus, having a
Yeah.
goat, big name actors. But um it was, in the end to me it was worth it. It was the only
Hmm.
way that like the thing could get made the way it had to get made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell everybody was just there for it.
Man, how lucky. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it really is one of those moments where it's just like time can go by very quickly in this business and when you're working in it, and it can feel like
Hmm.
work sometimes, and I was glad I was able to take the moment and realize like how incredible it was that for a very stupid idea that a buddy of
Yeah.
mine had, and then an idea I made even stupider on top of it, like all these incredibly and talented artists showed up to
Hmm.
help out. I'll never ever take that stuff for granted, and will try the rest of my career to, make it up to them and let them know. And I'll
Yeah.
try to hire as many of them as possible on jobs that pay better than that
Yeah.
one did. And um, it will never. I tell everybody who watches it to please pause every. We put it in a really cool font. We put the end credits in a really cool font, so they're fun to read. Like just if there was a part of the movie like the costumes or the props or the whatever, these are all like massively talented, incredibly experienced people who are so good at their job, and they
Yeah.
deserve all the credit and props and jobs that they can ever get.
Hmm.
And I hope they do.
Absolutely. Um, I guess kind of wrapping up a little bit, is there anything you would give as advice to people that want to do similar fields, either the comedy or the short
Yeah.
films?
Comedy, my best advice is what worked for me was never wanting to get into comedy. And somehow I never wanted to get into comedy, and I got immediately into comedy. I've been in comedy for 15 years. But realistically, I would say I think it's like the cliche answer is like go out and make something. I think it's really important to just like your find your weird little thing. Find your weird little thing. Even if that's not the thing that you put into everything, like find your weird little thing.
Hmm.
So like whatever it is that you find specifically you and makes you, if it's kind of ever you laugh, find that thing and hang on to it and hold on to it. And you don't have to tell anybody about it. You don't have to like make it your thing. You don't have to make it the focus of your thing, but like find your weird little thing that to you feel like is like just yours and makes you like you creatively.
Yeah.
Just like hang on to that thing and make sure that no matter what opportunity you get, you try to inject that thing or listen to that thing or call back to that thing or remember that thing or believe in that thing or whatever version of it you need. Because I think like there's going to always be like ebbs and flows to this business, or you'll see like you always, whatever. This is dead. The box office is dead. The box office is amazing. This is whatever. TV shows are back. TV shows are gone. 10 episodes, 6 episodes, 24 episodes. Whatever is going to happen, like the one consistent is always that just like if you it like any uniqueness sticks out, and it's not like a pressure to be, you don't even have to be like not even talking like a Charlie Kaufman like once in a generation type voice,
Yeah.
just a little bit of uniqueness, going with the thing that you feel is right all
Hmm.
the time, that speaks true to you, is going to stand out eventually. It will, because so many people, the longer I've worked in this business, the more you realize almost everybody operates from fear, and that sucks the soul out of like everything creative in my estimation. So I think like as long as you find that thing and stay true to that thing forever, you're going to have a leg up on so many people. Because if that's where you're working from as opposed to fear, you're already ahead of 95% of the people who are like established and working in
Hmm.
this business. And it's going to make you stand out, no question.
Beautiful. And another question I like to ask people is what scares you?
Oh, what scares me?
That's kind of what my podcast and
I
blog is
love
all
it.
about.
What scares me? Um, what scares me is if I'm wrong about if I guess what scares me is if I'm wrong about like I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in anything. But if they I think I don't believe in it because I truly believe the idea of anything supernatural is so horrifying to me. But what I would say more than anything, to synthesize it even better, I would say demonic possession. I grew up across the street from a church. I saw The
Yeah.
Exorcist when I was 8, and I am not a religious person, but for some reason, I deeply believe I could get possessed by a demon,
Hmm.
and that it would just fundamentally destroy my life. And I'm a constant. I would say I'm in like a decent amount of fear on a day-to-day basis of being demonically possessed. Um, yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, I think.
I think that's,
That and yeah, ghosts and ghouls, if they're real. How crazy would that be? Just a
yeah,
ghost comes out? That would be
absolutely.
horrifying. Who would want that? Nobody would like zombies, not afraid of,
Yeah.
slow. Feel like I got enough information on how to deal with them.
Hmm.
Ghosts and ghouls, we do. I don't know. That's my
Perfect.
best answer. My best and what will, without a doubt, be your worst answer in the history of this podcast, I'm sure.
I love that answer, actually. That's a great answer.
Thank you very much.
All what the podcast is about, just finding everything that scares people and going into to the reason of why.
Yeah, demonic possession.
Yeah.
Definitely. Don't want it. Not interested. I think because like if the idea of like lack of self-control, I think to me is like very scary on a human level. So then when you amplify that to like a demonic level,
Hmm.
I think that's what makes it interesting, but it's that total lack of control. It's like being put under, anesthesia, but still being like mentally awake and feeling everything. It's like those ideas of like having cognition but not control, I
Yeah.
think speak to me a lot. A lot of the stories I'm interested in telling and stuff. Even Carly in The Sacrifice maybe doesn't have control over the situation at first or feels like she doesn't until she
Hmm.
takes control of it. I think that to me is really interesting. And like, possession to me is like the height of losing control because it's not that you don't have control, but then someone else is controlling you in
Hmm.
theory. And you're helpless against it. And that
Yeah.
to me is like
And it's
horrifying.
a being that's not human that's controlling you.
Correct. So you don't even
Yeah.
understand it. Yeah. No thanks.
And
I'll
final
pass.
question: do you have anything to promote right now?
Just the sacrifice. Honestly, just the sacrifice. It is on YouTube for free. I'm making no money off of it. I don't want to make money off of it. I made this movie because I love making things and I
Mhm.
loved this story and I wanted to tell this story and I knew it only worked as a short and nobody funds shorts. And that was just never what this thing was about. So I just hope people watch it and like it. That's literally it. I don't have a Patreon. I'm not there's nothing else. If there's ads, it's not me. It's just YouTube has ads.
Yeah.
But just yeah, watch it, share it, like it, don't like it. That's okay. Review it on Letterboxd. Bad reviews and good reviews are good. You always learn, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. I just hope people watch it and love it. And Josh and I deserve people to see the performances because
Hmm.
they're incredible performances that live in a short film. And I just hope people can see that and
Yeah.
see how amazing they are, no matter the format.
Hmm. And even if they're not fans of like the comedy horror, they're fans of the actors, most likely.
Yeah,
It's
if
a
you are
bias.
fans of the actors, but you don't like, I'd say again, yeah, if you're too afraid, first of all, why are you listening to this podcast? But also like good for you facing your fears. Um, I would say it's not too scary, but there's some messed up stuff in it. So if you like horror, like you're going to be satisfied. You're not going to leave disappointed. You'll be fed. That's for sure. Um, so yeah,
Sweet. Perfect. And thanks again for coming on.
my pleasure, Marcus.
Hopefully-
Thank you for dealing with my schedule, and thanks so
Yeah,
much for reaching
absolutely.
out. And thanks for watching the film. I really
Yes,
appreciate you watching
absolutely.
it and liking it
I'd
enough
actually
to
been
want to chat.
waiting for it for a while.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Finding My Land podcast. Reminder, you can watch The Sacrifice on YouTube for free right now.